Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back for the second episode of our Fireside Chat. It's so nice that it was so well received the first time around. I thank you for tuning in, and I can see people are starting to join us, so we'll just wait a couple more seconds. Happy Tuesday. I hope that everyone had an enjoyable Memorial Day. Father Jack and I just had a burger on the grill and made some pasta salad. He doesn't know it yet, but he's getting leftover pasta salad tonight. So as we begin, just a little cheers and shout out to everyone. It was an absolutely beautiful day for those of us here living in New England. I got out for about a 4.5 mile kind of speed walk. It felt good to be out there. The sun was shining brightly on my face, but where is Father Jack actually? I know he's been very occupied with all kinds of graduation events at Bishop Fian, even though I don't even know when graduation is, and I spent quite a bit of time dealing with Mrs. Lorenko today, my principal, but anyway, where is Father Jack? Oh, where is he? I hear Edgar Elgar's Pomp and Circumstance, so he must be somewhere close by. That's all I can say. He must be. I hope he is, because I can't do this monologue for a long time. There he is!
Hi, Father Rodney.
Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Again, we just have to keep it light for some of the time.
I'm going to see how we're doing live on our videos. I'm on the Transfiguration Facebook page. I hope everyone did have a great day. It was beautiful out. I was a little lazy last week. I didn't do any jogs. I didn't do any exercise. Today I got out for a jog for the first time though in a week, and it felt amazing.
But last week, come on. Last week was a very educational, just to keep this theme of education, and to all our graduates who might be watching tonight, congratulations. I know that your graduations are going to look very different this year, and we're trying to do our best, but we kind of went back to school last week, didn't we? Do you remember?
What did we do last week?
Oh, how easily we forget things.
It all blurs together these days.
It's one big day, yeah. Okay, so we're praying the Rosary. And at some point, my friend, I'm an Apple user to the core, but we discovered last week that Siri is actually Catholic.
And how did we find that out?
Because all of a sudden, as we're praying the Rosary in front of the Blessed Sacrament, Siri decides to say, I can help you with that. Now, our friend Alexa, on the other hand, I don't think she's Catholic. I don't think so. Oh, see, she's supposed to cue me on that, but anyway, let's see. Do we have any? Mom, if you have no volume, there's nothing I can do about it. Everybody else is hearing.
I'm trying to get into the video here on my phone just to see where everyone is at.
Let's see.
Looks like a few people might not have sound.
Okay, just remember, it's pretty good. It's easy to leave the app. And
that's right. Looks like a few people
I have sound.
Okay,
just remember, it's pretty good. It's easy to leave the app.
So yeah, I'm going to type that in for those who don't have sound. Log out, then back in, or close app. You don't log out. Type that in for those who don't.
Yeah, so just if you're having some connectivity issues, refresh the app. I know on Apple products you just swipe up to get rid of the app and then reopen it. I'm not sure about...
Someone's asking if I have iced tea on the shirt. Yes, it's iced tea. Because we're 7 months away from Christmas.
That's right. Thank you.
I thought I would wear my Santa's Helper t-shirt.
And we've made a fire again because we're anticipating Christmas 7 months from now.
But before we really kind of get into the business of today's meeting, we wanted to celebrate our graduates. And so
Absolutely.
I just thought, just for the sake of keeping them all in mind, just go through the major high schools in our area and some of the celebrations they're doing. Tri-County, we have a number of students from North Attleboro who are at Tri-County. I know of at least one member of the class of 2020. And
That's Herb's grandson?
maybe.
Yeah.
Also the Welch boy.
Yes, yep. Welch, yeah.
They, just news in today, they are planning some type of in-person ceremony in July.
Oh, good.
They had originally planned a drive-through style graduation, but they're, because of some new regulations from the state regarding graduations, they're hoping to be in person. They've also, like many schools, exchanged videos between teachers and students. North, many of you probably already know this, is doing what they're calling a summer-long celebration of their seniors. And the idea is, because of the unique circumstances, to give them a little extra time to celebrate. They're putting up signs at all the homes, or at least at the high school of all their seniors, big posters
nice.
of each senior
Very nice.
to celebrate. And they are doing, at least the latest, as I checked today, maybe they're changing too, as we all are, dealing with rolling new plans. But they were planning a car rally June 9th, and conferral of diplomas on June 11th. So congrats to those at Tri-County and North Attleboro. And then Bishop Fian, we have an in-person event planned for August 6th. So hopefully things will continue smoothly, and it will probably be a modified outdoor kind of situation. But the students, like all students at all the high schools, really want an in-person if it can happen. But they were supposed to graduate May 28th. Which is this week.
Yeah, 2 days from now.
2 days from now. So on that day, what we're going to do is a live stream mass, baccalaureate mass, and an award ceremony that night, just so that that day doesn't pass without celebrating a little bit.
I know that at St. Mary's Sacred Heart.
Yeah, what's St. Mary's Sacred Heart doing?
So, well, originally the graduation ceremony was going to be was set to take place on June 12th, but there's a little wrench here that's just got thrown at us. Not a bad wrench, because it'll get people hopefully to do something wisely. They were talking about, I don't know if you saw in the newspaper this morning, the local newspaper, they're going to shut off Richards Ave all the way down to what street? Orne?
Orne, yeah, right there at the
so
Mad
all
Moose.
All of the local businesses that have taken such a drastic hit, they'll be able to do outdoor dining. One of the local restaurateurs said, it's not even worth me opening my kitchen if I can only have 10% capacity. So I wish them luck. I know that our local state representative, Betty Poirier, hi Betty and Kevin, Betty's working to secure a temporary outdoor liquor license. So I hope that all goes smoothly for those businesses. But anyway,
what's St. Mary's Sacred Heart doing?
We were going to have a parade on that day, but they're going to target the 11th. So we can't do a parade and have the main street
on
closed
a Thursday night.
On a Thursday night. So we're working, but we're going to do an in-person graduation ceremony here in the parking lot at St. Mary's. And everyone will be asked to remain in their cars. We have secured a frequency for radio, and people will be able to tune in. And we still hope to have a parade of sorts. It's still in the works. Like I said, we got a little hiccup today, but we're working on it. So I'm excited. The kids are, it's 8th grade graduation, but it is still a significant moment. Those kids, for the most part, have been together for 8, possibly 9 years if they went to kindergarten. So, but again, a shout out to all the grads and.
Some comments coming in.
Oh.
They like your long hair, Father Rodney.
I do not.
There's a Jill Hicks who's commenting on the long hair.
I do not like it. It is.
I think it looks pretty good still.
When it hits the ears, it's not good. Ivan, when did we last get haircuts? It was Monday of Holy Week.
Monday of Holy Week. So
which was actually Easter Monday.
That's right, because we recorded Mass for North TV. Easter Sunday Mass on the Monday of Holy Week.
What a way to kick off! What a way to kick off Holy Week! Hallelujah!
Before we totally move on from graduates, though, there's a few college graduates in our parish that we wanted to shout out to. Haley, who is a granddaughter of the Poitamanis, has graduated from UMass Amherst. Sean Legg from UPenn. Patrick Collins, who did a great job at our confirmation retreat before the shutdown, amazingly. Patrick has graduated from Bridgewater State, and so congrats to all those three and the many more who we know are graduating from college in our parish in this strange time. Also, not a graduate this year, I believe. She's a graduate of FEE in 2015, so. We wanted to shout out to Sammy Kominyarik because this year she spent up until the pandemic, was spending the year as an Assumption Missionary Associate in New Mexico, serving with the Assumption Sisters and working at a bilingual school in New Mexico. And it's just great to have a member of our parish out in the missions.
Yeah, doing the Lord's work. Yeah,
so shout out to you, Sammy, and we hope that the sisters are safe if they're not able to get home. I think Sammy is home now, though, because the volunteers were sent home because of the pandemic. But based on the blogs the blogs I was reading about Sammy, that she wrote herself about her work out there. It's quite an experience and quite an eye-opening thing for her.
And the campus minister at Bishop Stang High School, my old stomping grounds.
She needs to stop texting.
She needs to stop texting, but Mrs. Tarantelli, I will let our viewers know that Bishop Stang High School is doing a parade tomorrow evening for the graduating seniors. Go Spartans.
Another graduate to celebrate is Lauren Langlands, who completed her master's in nursing.
Wonderful.
From Curry this spring. Congrats and thanks for your service as a nurse. Sean Legg, also the graduate from UPenn, finished in nursing, so he's diving into this to the world of nursing in this most tumultuous time.
How, they everything kind of switched in their lives at the very end, and it was like, this is the stuff that you're going to really be dealing with, and so.
Shout out to another granddaughter, Lindsay Medeiros, who's graduating from Providence College, and Beth, who is picked as the outstanding nurse at St. Luke's Hospital. So
I must know Beth. So Beth, congratulations. I think maybe it's time for a little illumination.
Illumination. One of the buzzwords when Father Rodney arrived, so as not to overwhelm him, was in the office here we called it gradual illumination. So we would slowly, but at the right time, let him know.
That's what he thinks.
How things, just kind of the flow of the year in North Attleboro at the Catholic community and Transfiguration Parish with regard to fairs and celebrations and so forth. So now it's our turn to illuminate you.
So, as I said a couple of weeks ago, one of the things that I have thoroughly enjoyed during the last 10, 11, how many weeks it has been, is the little show that John Krasinski has put on, Some Good News. And I shared with Father Jack the fact that I was really bummed out when I learned that he was no longer going to be... We had watched the last episode, and it was like, it was wonderful.
We watched together and get teary-eyed
no
for
kidding.
all the good news.
There was like, wow, it's not just all bad. And then the hope was reinstilled in my heart when I learned that he's going to continue. So I have some good news. We are returning to church. How, when, why? Those are very good questions. Extremely good questions. And as I attempt, with the help of Father Jack, there's one word that I think needs to highlight returning to church. And I'm going to share that word with you right now. Now brace yourselves. It's a word that no one has ever heard in their lives. You might even have to get a dictionary. I should have put one out, patience. We are all going to need a lot of patience. I went to bed a little bit after 11 last night, and I've been up since 4 this morning because my mind is just spinning as to how we are actually going to facilitate safely reopening, accommodating the needs of those who feel comfortable returning to public. One of the things that we've discussed, and the decisions that have been made, they certainly were not unilateral. We spent 2 hours in a staff meeting a week ago, and we discussed ad nauseum what
I was
should
wilting
we do?
by the end of the meeting.
I was wilting by the end of the meeting too. I wanted to say, okay, wrap it up. And for those who know me well, no meeting should ever go over an hour. So we take this very seriously, and this kind of consumes us. It really does, because your safety is my concern. Your well-being is my concern, and I don't want to just throw open the doors. I was very public, both on WJAR and North TV. I do think that we are reopening too early. I don't feel 100% confident that it's the right time, but it's above my pay grade, so there you go. So I will do the best I can, but there are 2 documents that I have here tonight. One of them I'd like to reference immediately, not to bore you, and I'm not going to quote anything from this, except this is entitled Diocese of Fall River, Guidelines for Safely Returning Mass. For those of you who would like to view this 6-page document, I would invite you to go to our parish website, www.stmary.com, and you can stmaryna.com, and it's the whole word saint, and you can click on this document that our wonderful administrative assistant Monica uploaded today. You can go through it. One of the great things, and I was surprised, I don't know about you, Father Jack, but I was very surprised at the great latitude that the local pastor has. It's not one size fits all. It can't be, because not every community is exactly the same. We all know that. So how are we going to, let me take my how, when, and why. Well, why is easy, so we're going to go in the reverse. Because we are a community, and communities gather. We all know that. When? Public Mass will be open beginning this weekend. We are not going to be at full capacity. We are not going to add Masses. We are going to start our phase 1 in a subdued way. We're going to make people feel comfortable again, because we have been spiritually, physically isolated for such a long period of time. So how? That is the question of the day. Now, in this document, and again, I'm not going to bore you because you can read it. In this document, one of the things that it clearly states is that parishes that have more than one worship site are encouraged and indeed urged to only open one church building. The new guy, who hasn't even been here a year, who I think some people blame COVID-19 on, after speaking with the staff, especially the maintenance staff, that was a big question in their mind, because to totally and completely and effectively disinfect an entire church building of the sizes of buildings that we have isn't just, Mrs. Smith comes in with her dust bunny and dusts. This is a deep clean each and every time. So that's also an expense, a major expense. And in my fiduciary responsibility as pastor, I have to take all of those. So I listen to everyone. And one of the options that we have, in addition to opening only one church building, if you have more than one, is to do something that we were kind of surprised the staff actually really endorsed head on right away. And it's the concept of an outdoor event. And so where? Of course, there isn't going to be a place that is sufficient for our needs. We quickly talked about different options. I'll share this with you. One of our initial thoughts was we were going to have 3 masses, one at each place. And then we realized after listening to maintenance that buildings and grounds, that was just not feasible. And so we came up with the idea of the outdoor Mass as being an option since it was given to us. Sacred Heart, it's just not an option. And so that church building, as beautiful as it is, as some of the grounds are lovely, that was not an option. That was not a feasible option. And so we looked at St. Mark and St. Mary. Both have parking. St. Mark has good parking, yes. And our thought was to set up an altar in front of the church, but that would limit the number of cars that actually could see the altar. So we tabled that for a second, and we thought about the campus here. And for those of you who are familiar with our campus here at Park Street, there's a sizable parking lot right in back of me. And we started looking at that as an option. So what does that mean? Well, we can't have loudspeakers for variance issues and things like that. So we quickly purchased, and not at a great cost, some frequency materials by which the one or those who want to come to Mass drive up. You park in the parking lot facing St. Mary Church. We've taken down a section of fence. There's going to be a barricade that is being created right now, using some of the existing poles that the fence was on, a temporary stage, and an altar will be placed on the lawn. Everyone will be asked to remain in their cars. The frequency, well, nobody has one of these anymore. The frequency, you'll have to find us on the FM frequency, and we're not going to be screaming. We will be using, I think, and hopefully, it was something that was talked about today, our very simple FM transmitter frequency units, our wireless mics, and you will be able to hear. And we think that it's up to 300 feet. So that means if people are parking across the street, they will still be able to hear. So and again, please, I haven't looked at any comments. I'm reserving them for later to look at them
All
later.
good. All
okay,
good.
Good.
People are listening.
Okay, good.
There's not very many coming in,
All right.
actually.
This is only temporary. This is our phase 1. Now, today, very early this morning, I was at my computer, nice and early after I prayed my office for you. I was at my desk, and I took everything that the staff and Father Jack and I, we discussed, along with Deacon Joe, yesterday, and I've penned it's a little longer than I wanted, but it is concise. It's a 2-page letter, and it just gives the protocols as to how we will be going to Mass. The only time we obviously have to...
This has to... So Kathy DiMartino just said, air conditioners were just installed at St. Mary's. Your car air conditioner.
There you go. Good. See, positive thinking. Positive thinking. This is great. Thank you. And I don't even have to pay the electric bill. So, I think it's unrealistic right now to just say we're going to go back to all 5 Masses as is. Because, for example, I know that someone made a reservation at Mass yesterday. There were 5 people in the party, and I was informed that there were only 25 people present at the Mass. So our numbers are going to be down. Now, for those of you who are concerned, our online presence will remain for at least the foreseeable future. Those who do not feel comfortable going to church, being around other people, especially those 60 and older, those who are vulnerable, those who are ill, the bishop has dispensed you from your obligation. If the bishop hadn't, as your local pastor, I could have.
And the dispensation is for everyone.
It's for everyone.
Not just those who are
60 or older.
Yeah.
If you are in a household of 7 and someone isn't feeling good and you have small children, stay home. But as I encourage everyone in the letter that will be sent out via email to all families and will also be on our parish website, do continue to keep holy the Sabbath. And so what are the Mass times? We're going to start with this. Again, less than perfect. But obviously everybody loves that 4 o'clock Mass. And so 4 o'clock in the parking lot will continue. We need to continue the online presence, obviously. That is of paramount importance. So we're going to continue that at 9:30. And we discussed, other options. We're going to try, at least start with the 5 o'clock Mass. So that gives people two decent options in terms of physically being present. And why not 8? Because I know I'm going to get that question. Honestly, because logistically, it's going to be very difficult.
Just the setup of the altar and so forth.
And getting people... Let me just, before I turn it over to Father Jack to let him make any comments, because I think I've said enough right now. Tomorrow, that parking lot in back of me will be painted so that cars can be socially distanced 6 feet apart. And we're thinking we probably can get anywhere between 65 to 70 cars there safely. If there are 5 people in a car, that's not bad. The only time you would be asked to come out of your car wearing a mask, remaining a social distance, except with the people in your party or in your car, your family, that you come up to one of us. We haven't asked Deacon Joe how he feels about distributing communion yet. It was just something that kind of slipped our mind on Sunday. But we will be kind of where the entrance to the rectory driveway is. And we will be giving communion. You will still have your mask on. You'll step to either the right or the left, depending on which side you're on. Remove your mask, place the host in your mouth, and return with your family to your car. You cannot wear gloves, plastic gloves, or any type of gloves. You'll be denied communion. And if you don't have a mask on, you will be turned away. The guidelines from the diocese are very specific. They know that the contagion is extremely volatile, and it just goes everywhere. And that's another reason why we elected to not start in a church building, even one church building. So, do you want to add anything? I mean, it's...
Yeah, so I mean, maybe just a summary would be this weekend, we're going to have a 4 p.m. outdoor parking lot Mass here at St. Mary's parking lot. We will go live again at 9:30 on Sunday morning from the chapel called Studio B. From the chapel, so that 9:30 live stream Mass you can catch at 9:30, or as soon as we upload it, you can watch that at home. And then a 5 p.m. on Sunday, again here at St. Mary's parking lot.
Weather might be an issue. This weekend it looks to be okay. The problem with that sort of scenario is we might have to say there will be no 5 o'clock Mass. There will be no 4 o'clock Mass. We just have to watch the weather closely.
Yeah.
But seriously, though, for setup and for practical purposes, getting how many cars in the parking lot safely without damaging Father Jack's car again. Inside joke that only Transfiguration of the Lord parish members know about. Father Jack's car was damaged at St. Mark's this past summer. We don't want a repeat of that, and we don't want your car to be hit either. So, and we don't want we want everyone to be here together, to feel safe, but to pray as a community of faith again. That's really...
I mean, yeah, maybe something to reiterate would be patience. Our model here is kind of slow and steady. Yeah. It's very exciting in some ways to be able to come together again and have the Eucharist. On the other hand, there are still lots of concerns with regard to health. And so if you are concerned in any way, be at peace, and it's okay to stay home. Yeah. And maybe it's for the best. Even just this first weekend, just to stay home, let a smaller crowd come out and see how it works in the parking lot, and we are going to just continue to reassess.
Yeah. This isn't set in stone. We need to feel comfortable in phase 1, our phase 1. And how long will phase 1 take? I don't know. I don't know. And that's okay. I'm not omniscient.
So a few questions I don't want to miss is, will you need reservations, and is the daily 4:30 Mass going to continue live streamed?
Okay. First, it's in my letter. I have a personal problem, and the staff shared it. My administrative assistant isn't a maitre d' or a seating hostess. I just think it dumbs down one's desire to go to church. And I've shared this with both my lay friends and my priest friends. There's a name out there that many of you would know, Father Tom Rita. Father Rita was the pastor of St. Mark Parish for years. Father Rita is a good friend of mine. He helped me when I was the pastor of St. Mary's South Dartmouth for years. He called me today. We spoke on the phone for quite some time, and he asked me some questions about what I was doing, what we were doing, excuse me, and everything that I said, he said, well thought out, logical, and I really hope it works. He said, but that really is what you should do right now. I foresee the 4:30 daily Mass continuing for a while. We have to get back in church. And when we do so, we probably will not be able to use the daily Mass chapel. We may have to pick one church building to celebrate Mass. Because remember, every time the church is used, it has to be completely disinfected. I only have 2 staff members, Mike and Jim, who they work hard. Those guys are hard workers, and I give a shout out to them. They can't spend their entire day just disinfecting a church. It's going to take hours, literally hours, to properly clean. You should see the checklist. And for those who are interested, go onto our parish website, go onto the diocesan website. The guidelines are there for how to properly disinfect a church. It's not easy, and our churches are huge.
Yeah, so for this foreseeable future, 4:30 during the week,
yes,
as we continue to assess which buildings, and as we're all experiencing week by week, the health guidelines from the state continue to change, and so we keep that in mind too as we patiently re-enter public worship.
Any other questions?
A few more questions. Someone asked, will there be lectors or altar servers or other ministers this weekend?
There might be one lector. There will not be live music. I've discussed this with I'm not going to reveal all of that yet, but there will only be one lector this weekend at the 4 and the 5. Just because logistically, I mean, our heads are spinning. We're trying to reinvent a campus here now, and I feel like I'm walking around with a checklist saying, okay, this has to be done, this has to be done, this hasn't been done. So no altar servers, and actually for the foreseeable future, we probably will not have altar servers, just for their safety, and for ours, and for the level of comfort that may exist. Eucharistic ministers, for the time being, I feel, and we've discussed this, I think for the time being, and I've said this how many times at our staff meeting, I don't want to sound overly clerical, but I just think because we are going to be the ones who have the proper PPE, I think it's better for us. We are a distribution center for the Attleboro Deanery tomorrow. All of the priests in the deanery are going to be able to come and pick up their shields and their sanitizers and all of that stuff. So just phase 1, let's just say that, phase 1. We need to take it in phases, but good question.
A few things that may not be able to be answered right now, but I did see them, and I'll go through this comment. We'll go through this again later. The answers to these questions might need to be included in the letter, but just so that they're kind of thrown out there. The concern about if there are no reservations, how will tracing be done if someone is infected that we know was at that Mass? Another question is someone who doesn't have a car or walks to church. Will there be a place for them in the area to stand or sit during the Mass? also the question of bringing communion home to someone who...
No is the answer, and that comes directly from on high. No is the answer. No communion to the homebound right now.
And then there's a few comments saying, questions about, will there be an online Mass on Saturday? A quick response to that is perhaps it's possible for us to live stream the outdoor Mass. It might not be as good of quality,
Right.
but an idea that we've just chatted about is to, instead of use one of our devices and just live stream what's going on at the outdoor Mass, so that people who are home can be with us without even having to drive here. We still haven't totally figured out if that's possible.
Remember, I say it again, we should not have been in phase 4 because of these types of questions. Regarding the tracing question, it's a good question. But if people are remaining in their car and they are only coming in contact with one of us, then there really isn't, and I'm not a virologist, but...
I mean, the danger would be is whoever we
have,
come in contact
right.
with, we can pass it.
Yeah.
The practical way to address that, which, again, coming to church, you have to calculate the risk, is I think we're going to, this would be my thought, is we will have some place between the two of us, or each have our own, some hand sanitizer, so a little bowl of water, a purificator, and hand sanitizer. So I'm going to try to give communion to you without touching. If I touch your hand, I'll put my fingers in the water, dry them, sanitize. Communion is going to take longer than it normally does. Those of you who aren't able to come into the parking lot, there will be, and you're parked, we'll figure out some way for you to come receive communion.
You might have to come after everyone leaves.
You might have to wait for the parking lot to empty.
Yep.
And then you can come in.
Those
round. Small details we're still working out and probably will continue to be worked out as we try it, as we do it, seeing the numbers of people.
They didn't teach us any of this in the seminary, I can tell you that.
Yeah, and once again, we were chatting about this earlier. On the one hand, it's like super exciting to things are opening up. On the other hand, if we take a step back and really consider, there's a lot of concerns.
Well, I told you, I said
to be weighed, and it's okay if we don't just jump back into it. And
well, I shared with you the fact that I read something early this afternoon that 18 or 19 states in the last 3 days have already seen a spike in new corona-positive cases. This is what happens when people don't follow the rules. And I want people to follow the rules here. No matter what we do, it's going to be imperfect. And the risk is always going to be there. You go to Stop and Shop. Somebody at the door is not, taking a list of...
Yeah.
It's a challenge. So we're on the learning curve, but we understand the safety concerns, and we want people to feel safe. So if you are not of the belief that you are going to feel safe when you're here, then keep the online presence going for now, until things die down a little bit.
And it's worth saying. We'll say it again on Sunday, I'm sure. But if you come, or if someone comes and then soon after becomes positive, we need to know that immediately, so that, and this isn't the same thing as tracing, but if we know that someone was present who became positive within a short time afterwards, we can at least through our emails and social media get that word out without mentioning names, so that anyone else who was there can act appropriately.
Kind of like how we started our own self-quarantine with someone who had come into contact with someone who had tested positive. So it's that sort of, it's an issue of trust and respect.
Like I said, we'll go through these questions again. I think I hit most of them. So thanks for chiming in. Thanks for listening. And most of the comments, Father Rodney, were very supportive. the idea of an outdoor mass sounds like a great idea. Thanks for all you do. Thanks for all that we're doing in the parish to keep things safe.
Well, we're just bringing the drive-in back. That's all we're doing.
What about other sacraments, like baptisms, for instance? Someone asked that.
We're working closely with families, and, again, it's going to have to be one baptism at a time. And then again, if I can celebrate Mass outside, I certainly can baptize a child. I hope that answers your question.
So yeah, if you have a child or a grandchild who needs to be baptized, contact the office.
Absolutely.
And we're working with families individually to make something work. Baptisms are not canceled.
No.
We're just working to find ways to make it safe.
I remember going to Honduras. I went several times years ago with Mission Honduras, and I remember going up into the fields, and there was a plastic bucket outside, and that's how Father Craig Pagana baptized the children. And I said, okay, if it can be done there, it can be done anywhere. So.
And speaking of sacraments...
And, of course, we have 7 sacraments, we know that. So we've touched upon baptism. Mass we can do outside. Marriages, I don't want to get into that right now because that's going to be a discussion that I think is broached with the priest and the bishop on Thursday. Obviously, we don't have to worry about ordinations. We don't have to worry about ordinations. Confirmation, to my confirmandi out there, as soon as things settle down, you will get confirmed. Trust me. What else? First communicants, same thing. Sacrament of Reconciliation.
So that is one sacrament that has been available to the parish really from almost the beginning of this, because our rectory is such that there's a place to go to confession. And you may recall that we put a video together 1 month ago called, this says Confessions During Lent. We should retype that.
But it's really Confessions During a Pandemic.
How to go to confession during a pandemic. So I thought we'd just bring it back, because it's a shining moment.
Father Jack wanted to laugh. That's what he said. He did. Look at that lovely gray day.
How do you turn the volume up?
At the solemnity of the Assumption, greetings from North Attleboro here at Transfiguration of the Lord Parish. I'm joined with Father Jack, and you will notice that the title of this live stream video is How to Go to Confession
During a Pandemic.
Father Jack and I have given this a lot of thought. And we understand that people do want to prepare for Easter. We don't know what Easter is going to look like. Let's be honest. But look at how good my hair looked. So on Saturday, this coming Saturday, between 2:30 and 3:30.
Now confessions are from 3 to 3:30.
Now obviously I'm standing on the side entrance of the rectory, not the normal entrance that people would use for business. It's the one that's across from the chapel where we celebrate daily Mass on Tuesday and Thursday, and in these days where we've been celebrating daily Mass and weekend Mass. On Saturday, we were asking that people drive into the parking lot, park your car, be sensible. Social distancing is the preferred MO these days. That was before it was required. Stairs and enter the side entrance.
This is the best part.
Doors, the screen door and the main door will be open. Follow me.
Follow me.
On the other side of this door, which is glass, and physicians have informed us that any type of infectious
You probably
disease
can't
cannot
see,
be
but there's a
transmitted
small photo of Father
through
Rodney
the glass.
taped to the door.
You will see me looking at you. Obviously, it will not be a picture. It'll actually be me or
Anyway, we've continued to hear confessions from that side door, and it is a safe way. And communication is a little limited, but we can see each other. I can always hear very well the penitent who does not have to raise their voice, and there's a bit of privacy. One thing that actually we haven't really talked about, but maybe is worth considering, is putting a small curtain on half of it so that people may come anonymously.
Sure.
So, again, we're constantly trying to reconsider things and
Every
work
day there's
around.
something new.
But while we're on YouTube,
Oh, YouTube, yes.
the most obviously all of you right now are using Facebook to be with us live. Some of you might use Facebook also to watch the videos after they have been done live. One of the things that we want to offer to you is we figured out how to upload HD versions of our live streams onto YouTube. So if you watch them after the fact, you'll have a much clearer experience on YouTube from now on. I had mentioned a month ago we were trying to work out live streaming on YouTube also. I tried really hard.
He did. A for effort.
And I couldn't figure it out. And it also became apparent that the product, shall we say, really wasn't worth the effort, because you can access Facebook without a Facebook account. But anyway, YouTube is useful because you're allowed to upload HD versions of the videos. So basically, up until now, we've been uploading standard definition. But beginning yesterday, we were able to figure out how to upload an HD version.
Look at how crisp
and
that
so
is.
the picture is crisp and clear. So if you're watching on a television, the YouTube app is the way to go. Most TVs nowadays have the YouTube app built in. You don't even have to download it. You may have to download the YouTube app. It's the free app. It's not YouTube TV. It's just YouTube. Search for our channel, Transfiguration of the Lord Parish.
If you have an older TV like I do, and you have the Fire Stick, that's simply there's an application on it. Hit the YouTube, type in Transfiguration of the Lord Parish, and you'll find it. The channel's there.
Yeah, and if you have questions or difficulties finding it, send me a Facebook message, and I'll just send you a link to the YouTube channel, and you can find it on your devices. But on TVs, it's a smart TV you have to have that's connected to Wi-Fi.
This is a dumb one.
But anyway, we've discovered it, and it's an easy way for us to kind of up the quality of the recordings. So today's Mass and today's Fireside will be on YouTube in HD.
I think we've exhausted returning to Mass. I have something funny that I want to say. So, thinking about devices, and unfortunately I forgot to bring my speaker, so it's not going to be... So one day I...
Just hold it close to your microphone.
Yeah, exactly. So, oh no, that's not what I wanted to say. One of the things that we've done each and every night, we do a little social distancing ourselves during the day. We kind of do our thing. We both have work. We do. The tribunal still loves to send me packages. They're always in the mail. Parish work, this type of stuff to figure out what next. Father Jack with school and vocations and all the stuff I don't want to do, I throw to him. No, just kidding. But we do have dinner together every night, as you well know. And just what's on the menu for tonight, just so you know, is going to be grilled chicken thighs, marinated chicken thighs, in a teriyaki ginger sesame thingy with leftover pasta salad from yesterday, and
which I've had 3 times now because
I
it's
hope
so
there's
good.
enough. I hope there's
I
enough.
had a little for dinner last night. I had a little bit for lunch today.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, you can have a lot of it tonight,
It's
so we can
good,
get rid
it's
of
good, it's
the
good.
bowl. It was simple, and then simple recipe, and then we'll figure out. But every night since you have it here actually, but every night since this quarantine or lockdown, shutdown, whatever you want to call it, has been in force, we have actually had, and it's been a very priestly thing. I think a really good thing for us.
Well, we pray evening prayer together.
After Mass, we immediately pray evening prayer. We watch the news, and then dinner time. And
Do you have this on your playlist, or
it's on there as
Okay.
well. It's on my playlist, but every night since the beginning of the pandemic, we have always asked our friend Alexa. I don't want to say her name because she turns on. We ask her to play this song. Oh, I can ask her right there.
Ask her, because there might be
This
ads.
is how we start dinner, or right before dinner. Alexa, play It's the End of the World and We Know It by REM, and I Feel Fine.
I can't find It's the End of the World. And we
This is why we know she's not Catholic. Alexa, play It's the End of the World by REM.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine.
And I Feel Fine.
On Amazon Music.
Make sure the volume. Is that loud enough, everyone?
Can you hear it?
Turn it up.
Alexa, turn up the volume. So, what else? What else did you have?
I don't even know anymore. I think it's almost dinner time.
It's almost dinner time.
It's almost
can
dinner
you
time.
mute that? Because I do have one more.
Alexa.
Alexa, stop. Sorry, I forgot. Yeah.
She listens to you in here better than me. In the kitchen, I think she recognizes my voice better.
Well, I want to thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for your comments. And honestly, you've given us some fodder, food for fodder. And we promise to look into those things. Clearly the the tracing is an issue, and we'll have to do something with that. But the other issues, we can address those as well more clearly. But clearly I am a fan of my friend from Amazon, and one day it was kind of in the middle of everything, and I said to her as I was getting dressed, I used the name that should not be used, and
Other people's have been activated by you
exactly
tonight because you've said
of course,
her name.
Of course.
Now in their homes.
Of course.
I hope she played REM.
Exactly. So I said, play music that will make me feel good or make me feel happy. And this is what she said. And as we say good night, that is not a song. It was the hat. See it automatically. I said, play something that makes me feel happy. And this is what she decided. And I would like to leave you with this tonight because it is a hopeful message. And to that, I say good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night.